everybody. This is morning coffee.
It's time to pour it, stir it up, and serve it up. This is the Morning Coffee Podcast Show, your unofficial wake-up call. Here to help you live your best life and revolutionize your relationships, faith, inspiration, and love. Start your day the right way with Morning Coffee. Here's your host, Tanisha R. Atkins.
Good morning. Happy Monday to everybody. You are tuned in to the Morning Coffee Live Show. I am the host, Tanisha R. Atkins, back with another great episode for you this morning. Well, we are coming to the end of season 3. We are almost at the end. We have this week and then next week, and then that's going to be a wrap on season 3. I pray that you guys have enjoyed it. Well, if this is your first time catching Morning Coffee, remember that Morning Coffee is your unofficial wake-up call on a mission to provoke you to change and spiritual growth so that you can live your best life and revolutionize your relationships. That's what we do. That's the purpose. That's the meaning behind the podcast. So all season long, we have been talking about how to take your life off the repeat cycle. We have been taking a look at some habits, some choices, examining the way we think, asking questions like, why am I keep doing the same thing over and over? So we've been getting really real about that. I took some time also throughout this season to talk about Christian identity. Who do men say that I am? And the reason why I took a moment to do that segment is because sometimes we can't move forward until we know who we are. So sometimes you can see yourself as maybe brave or bold or wise or strong, but how do other people see you? Sometimes, we can be a little blindsided to things because we're not open to look at some of the things that needs to be adjusted in our lives. And it's things like that can also cause your life to go on the repeat cycle, just not being aware of your issues. So that's why I took a moment throughout this series to ask that question, like, what does your identity say about you? Like, are you, do other people see you the way you see yourself? Because, and I'm not talking about in a sense of maybe you see yourself on the other side of what you're dealing with and they don't do it. I'm saying, like, are you really living the life that you think you're living, or you just, need some adjusting? So check that series out. It was actually a couple of weeks ago. So we've been talking about change and how to move forward. So today we're going to talk about how to start taking steps to take your life on the repeat cycle. We're going to talk about creating a strategy. Because one thing about it, if you listen to a lot of celebrities talk, a lot of famous people, a lot of successful people, one thing that you always hear them say is that I had to get my strategy. And a strategy is just like your game plan. Like, what's your plan? Like, how are you going to live your best life? What kind of things are you going to set in place to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes again? So therefore you make a strategy, because now you know the play. When I go that way, I hit a wall. When I go this way, I have relapse. When I do this, I make a mistake or whatever. So now that you know that, you have to create a strategy to keep you from going back down that road again. And that's the problem. We're not strategizing. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive right in. So again, a strategy is a game plan. It's a plan of action. Okay, so one of the things that'll help you to develop a great strategy is to understand where it is that you're trying to go. And I say this a lot. I coach a lot of people because I do a few other things besides this awesome podcast. But one of the things I always ask them is, where is it that you're trying to go? And why are you trying to go there? When you get clear about that in your life, that helps you to develop a winning strategy to get there. Because when you have a vision and you do what the word says, you write it down, you begin to visualize it. Okay, this is the vision. This is what I see. This is kind of where I'm headed. and you begin to lay out those steps, even though sometimes you may hit or go a wrong way or hit a dead end. When you stay focused on that vision, the vision keeps you moving forward. So a lot of times your life is going on the repeat cycle because you don't have a vision. And you really need to get clear about that. Really need to get clear about what do you want out of life. And I know you've heard me say that early on in the season. And I hope that you, throughout the season, that you've taken some time to really ask yourself, what do you want? What kind of life do you want to live? And let me tell you, this season has been blessing me because I have really been checking myself and examining my own life. I have made a lot of adjustments in my life because of this season. Because I'm talking to you all as God is downloading the things to me to say to you, but these things are also helping me. So getting clear, just a personal example, one of the things that I got clear about is, okay, I really want to take this message, the things that I feel that I'm supposed to put into the world, I want to take those on a broader scale. So I have said, you know what, outside of the podcast, I want to write books. And I want to be on the radio, and I want to do TV appearances. So that's my vision. So one thing I have to do is begin to strategize. How am I going to do that? Well, I can't sell books if I never write the book. So I have to sit down and say, what days am I going to write the book? What's going to be the name of my book? Am I going to do a series? You don't have to know it all. You don't have to just be like, oh my God. Because I think a lot of times fear of knowing what to do keeps us from starting. But if you just come to the starting line, and Morning Coffee, this podcast was a starting line for me. And now I'm moving forward. And as I continue to move forward with the podcast, okay, now I want to expand the message. And that's how you have to look at your life. What is it that you want? And why do you want to go over there? And then how am I going to get there? Let me just say it like this. In all seriousness, it's no fun to live your life where you keep repeating the same choices, the same bad choices, the same bad habits, the same mistakes, the same dead-end relationships. It's no fun to sit back and watch your life be at a standstill for 5, 10, and 15 years. And all it does is create hopelessness. It creates just this miserable life. It creates where you just feel like, your life doesn't amount to anything. And that's exactly what the enemy wants you to be. He wants you to be in that state. And that's why he works so hard to drive us away from our purpose. And we did a series where we talked about Eve. And it just reminds me of how that's all he was trying to do is to get Eve off of. Eve had everything. Eve was in the garden. She had everything. She didn't want for anything. And all he did, his whole mission was to get her off of the plan that God had for her. And that's the only thing he's trying to do. And that's why you have to be clear about the vision. If Eve would have just stayed focused on what God said, if she had to let what God said overpower what she was hearing from the outsiders, then she never would have took that fruit, because she would have known that fruit did not align up with the vision that God had gave her. And that's what I'm saying to you. You have to have a vision. And when things don't work for your vision, you have to say no. And you have to say yes to the things that do work for your vision. And that's how you take your life off the repeat cycle. Just always remember that the enemy, a lot of people say that the fruit was the apple. The Bible doesn't say that, but let's say apple for today. But every time you think about, veering off from your vision, you think about the enemy standing there holding that apple or that fruit, whatever kind of fruit you want to say it is. But you think about him standing there and using that fruit as bait to get you off the vision. That's how he's getting us. And so do you want to be driven around by a fruit? Or do you want to stay on God's course? Because he used the fruit to get her completely out. So it makes me think, what is he using in our lives to get us off of the will of God? To get us off track? It's the simple things. We think it's just, he makes things appear bigger than what they are. And I want to say this to you today and close. And even if you are off track and you know that there are some things that God has given you to do, you haven't done it, you feel like, that's me. Gee, she's talking to me. I want to say to you that you can get up right now. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you've done, what you haven't done. You can change that right now today by making the decision to obey God. That's all you have to do. The Bible says that God, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. A strong tower. The righteous run into it and they are safe. So a tower, you know what a tower is? It makes me think about when a ship is lost and they see that tower and they feel, oh, I see a tower. That's a place of safety. That means I'm getting closer to help. That's what I think about when I think about a tower. So don't let the enemy play games with your mind saying that, oh, you're too old, you can't fulfill your purpose, or it's too late for you. It's never too late as long as you have breath in your body. Even if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 more days here, 5 more, 10 more days here, as long as you have breath in your body, you have a chance to do what it is that God called you to do. So don't ever think that God is mad at you. God hates you. None of that. God didn't hate Eve. Let's get that clear. God did not hate her for what she did. He didn't like it, and she faced the consequences of what she did, but he did not hate her, because I believe that if he would have hated her, he could have destroyed her like that and just made another woman. Okay, so we got to change our perspective. That's why this is your unofficial wake-up call, because the enemy has us asleep. And when you sleep, the Bible says be sober and vigilant, so you can see clearly that when he's roaming around with that fruit, that's him. Because God don't operate like that. God don't need to dangle fruit in front of our face, because he's already marked out the entire plan. He don't need to dangle things. Now, he will leave clues, but he don't need to dangle things and like, ooh, come over here, don't walk that way. So I hope this blessed you today. I know I kind of got off a little bit from strategizing, but I really felt like this is what we need to talk about in our last 2 weeks. And tomorrow we're going to pick back up with vision and strategizing and how to take that first step. We're going to stay right here for the next 2 weeks and talk about this, because I want to get it in your heart. And I want to get it in your mind. And I want you to share this podcast with somebody, because there's somebody that needs to hear this. They're out there feeling lost. They're out there feeling stuck. They're out there feeling hopeless. And we have to be the fishermen. We have to reel them back into God. We don't want our people to be destroyed. And don't ever look at nobody's life and think they just a lost cause, because the name of the Lord is a strong tower. So remember that. So cry out to God on behalf of your family and your friends, and don't just let them fall by the wayside, okay? I have enjoyed today's topic. I pray and trust that you have too. Season 3 has been amazing. It has been a game changer, and I'm excited about season 4. I'm already making preparations for season 4, because it's just gonna take your life and the life of your family to the next level. Well, my time is up, and I'll see y'all tomorrow at 6:30. I want to say good morning to my grandfather. Y'all know I like to say good morning to him. Listening all the way in Louisiana. So good morning, Daddy. Thank you for listening all the time and being a great support. And y'all have a great, amazing, over-the-top day. Connect with me on social media. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Morning Coffee Live Show. I'm Tanisha R. Atkins. Have a great day.